Oh no, another F1 car launch. Please don't let it be carbon, please don't let it be carbon.
Don't worry, fellas. You like this. I can bank on that.
Say what you will about the name. They have clearly become aware of all the hullabaloo concerning the name and how corporate it's been and how the Racing Bull's identity has almost been erased into oblivion more so than Sauber's, but the livery is harking back to the days before AlphaTauri. There is a very distinct feel of blue and silver, which is very much what Toro Rosso had from 2017 to 2019, and I am so happy to see it back because, as far as I'm concerned, it's a design classic. And I understand that you might be thinking, oh great, another blue car. Well, let's be grateful, okay, that there is even any color. Of course, there is some carbon fiber on the design, but it's very, very, very discreet. It's right down at the bottom. And I think this technique of basically draping the car in color all the way down to the bottom edges and do the little bits and details, that's the way to go to try and keep people happy and make people think there is actually color on the car. And I'm really, really weirded out by the revelation that all of this color is only about a kilo in weight, and it's 0.03 of a second advantage in that they are really trying to claw that back. But it doesn't seem like VCARB really has any problem with that. Racing Bull seems quite in rude health when it comes to overall weight saving. I think I know why. Because they are investing a lot more in what Red Bull is able to provide. They're going with the pull rod design, like Red Bull, McLaren, and Sauber are doing, which is quite an aggressive ways of suspension, and is also leaning into what Daniel Ricciardo's been saying, in that this team no longer wants to be just a platform for Red Bull, like how Toro Rosso came to be, and instead be its own team and challenge for podiums, and he has actually guaranteed that he will be introducing shoeies into podiums.
And ho, that's fighting talk, Daniel.
Granted, the red accents have now been mostly relegated to a border, but I am pleased to say that the inclusion of red in the AlphaTauri livery from last year no longer sticks out like a sore thumb. One of my ideal requests for any future liveries that they integrated that red into the design of Orlen, because Orlen's sticking around and Orlen's a bit of a stickler when it comes to using their red and their red alone. So fortunately, that red has now been carried over to the borders, so everything now works in harmony. And what's even better is that red was in that Toro Rosso design from 2017 to 2019, so it works even better. And all of these different stripes on the top and the front, they look very 90s to me. I'm getting late 90s Benetton vibes, albeit with slightly different color configurations. There is more white than the Toro Rosso livery, but I'm just glad to be talking about color here and not just carbon fiber, aren't you? I'm blown away by how good this is and how nostalgic it's making me feel. I mean, I'm looking at this right here. It just screams out 90s to me. And from the side especially, it's a harmonious livery. I mean, granted, the stripe's a little bit out of place with the straight stripe down the engine cover. It's a little bit weird, but I can give it a pass because it sort of works, especially when you look down from the top. If you look down, the top is the best angle right here. Like, oh! That is very 90s to me. I like this. The name aside, we have just got to still remind ourselves that this name is incredibly corporate. Why they can't just call themselves Racing Bulls, I have no idea. But according to this livery, the best angle is the top-down one, because everything works. I just find it really confusing. The green of the Cash App was not integrated into the design at all, and also it kind of is differently integrated. On the blue, the Cash App logo is in all silver. Great. On the front wing, as you can see here, it's in white on carbon fiber. Okay, that's fair enough. But on the white of the top of the nose, and then on the rear wing, it's green. I don't understand sometimes sponsors where they're okay with one thing in one place and then they're not okay with it on another thing. But I suppose that they have to remind people that, you know, they have a green logo. We can't have sponsor uniformity everywhere, but that's a tiny little nitpick. The overall design, again, I just can't get over the fact it looks really good from the top-down view. We might not see that all the time, except probably when we're in the Silverstone pit stops in Abu Dhabi, where they go underground and then we kind of get a top-down view. It's going to look really nice there. And we'll probably get some one-off livery specials, but the front view looks very 90s to me. I am quite happy with this, and I do get a very collegiate feel with the numbering and the race overalls, and the crew shirts. The crew shirts are very nicely designed, and seeing Liam Lawson there looking kind of grumpy, going, I should be in this car. I should really be in this car. Why am I not in this car? Don't worry, Liam, your time will come. But right now, it just feels like American football team. But maybe that's down to Daniel Ricciardo, the Americana of him. And they are so going to have football jerseys with that numbering on there. I'm just expecting Daniel to be in that jersey in the American races and going, defense, D. I'm really pleased to see color here. And it's not just matte paint. Matte paint's good and all, and Red Bull pioneered that in 2016 to save weight. Apparently it saved a lot of weight, but now we're sort of seeing it everywhere. It's sort of lost its sparkle, but now we're getting the luscious sparkle back that we sort of got with the Alfa Romeo Cherry Red. And this blue, it pops. It really pops. And you can definitely tell that the Red Bull cues that we saw on the Toro Rosso liveries from the late 2010s is back, because you get that on the nose, you get that on the airbox, and hey, Hugo Boss has actually turned up on the sponsor list after all, because they've been collecting sponsors like crazy. I think Laura Neckis and Peter Bayer, the bigwigs in charge of this RB campaign, are trying to get more sponsors than Zach Brown McLaren, because McLaren have the most partners, not sponsors, there's a difference apparently, than anybody else on the grid. But Racing Bulls is catching up fast, and they got some big sponsors here. And I'm happy for them that they are investing and that they are looking to rebrand themselves as something else, not just a platform team. But it is a shame in a way that they're not going down that route anymore, that they are no longer necessarily the bastions of young drivers, and that people like Liam Lawson will just have to wait until there's a spot available, either because Yuki goes somewhere else or Daniel gets promoted. That's a little bit of a shame that we're not getting that. But in terms of the overall design language of Racing Bulls, it's good. It's harking back to the Toro Rosso days in everything but the name. It's a shame that we couldn't get the Toro Rosso thing back again for nostalgia's sake, but as far as we can probably tell right now, it's not exactly marketable. You're probably leaving $30 million on the table by not having a name which sponsors can just include at the front and the end, and something that we did make fun of with, all together now. Insert your name here, Racing Bulls, insert your name here, this is a cool spot. Yeah, I am really happy with this livery. It screams of 90s to me. If you put a 4x3 filter on it and put like a 90s filter on it, this would look in keeping from something that we see in like 95 or 96 or something. I like this. I just feel like the only thing is that Cash App weren't quite fully accommodating to not use the green. Or if they did use the green, they should have used it in a more integrated sort of way. Instead of the red, it would be the green, but then we got the Orlan. I mean, I applaud anybody in the livery design department having to finagle around all of these big wig sponsors and trying to come up with something that everybody liked. But again, there is color here. Yes, it is blue. We are kind of bored with blue cars, and blue's one of my favorite colors, and I'm just getting a little bit like, can we see some other colors, please? Which is why I commend the Sauber design quite a lot, because it's different. I'm just glad that green is on the grid finally. And no, that's not because of my British bias. I also like dark green. Yeah, this is a good livery. I am happy about this. This is something that I could easily see topping the McLaren livery. But then again, we're going to get to that next week, because I'm starting to see a pattern here with what McLaren are doing. And if you want to get my overall impressions when they suddenly dropped the livery out of nowhere a few weeks ago, you might want to go and watch this video next, because it was a surprise to everyone.